Okay. My bad, Justin. If you listen back there, my bad, Justin. I didn't. Sean was right here, so I didn't want to not say Bland Insurance Group, and it was irritating. So anyway, all right, I'm cutting it back down.
Take it away.
Welcome back to the Lake Martin Sports Roundup Show presented by the Bland Insurance Group, Alliant Bank. And I tell you what, and Radney Funeral Home, exactly. And, again, we want to thank all of them for jumping on board here on the Lake Martin Sports Roundup Show. And couldn't do it without them. Glad to have Sean and Daniel Bland up here to talk about their experience out at the camp in Oklahoma. And looking forward to seeing that young man on the field in a few weeks as Benjamin Russell opens up at home against BC Rain on August 22nd. And I know that's a bit sooner than normal, but the AHSA has done something a little bit different, Scott, this year. And you've got 11 weeks to play 10 games now. And, so you can kind of dictate how you want to schedule things. And, some teams are still choosing to play that 22nd date as a jamboree. You can also choose to start your season that way. You can. So Benjamin Russell is. A lot of teams are. Some are still choosing to do the jamboree. And, Benjamin Russell will have a week off at the end of the regular season and a gap there between that final regular season game and in the first playoff round. And you've got some teams that have decided to take a break halfway through the season. A lot of different options. It gives schools an option like the colleges now where they can, instead of playing 10 consecutive weeks with a jamboree on the front, if they want to play a jamboree, they can. If they don't have to, and they can use that off week wherever they want to in their schedule. And, I like the way we have our schedule. Again, I feel very certain that this team, even with a tougher schedule, will definitely make the playoffs this year. And we'll have an opportunity to get healed up and kind of rest, take a week off as we head continuing to look out for the players' safety. So much emphasis on concussions now, and a lot of that has to do with fatigue and everything that's involved in the game.
Yeah, and as you said, this is Benjamin Russell's second stint, I guess, under the Danny Horn era, where they will be in 6A. And so after speaking with him last week and discussing some with Daniel, this is a completely different situation than before. We're a different team. The mindset's different. By this point in the process, everyone is bought in to everything that Danny Horn wants to do with the program. And I think the main thing that everybody keeps saying that has been affiliated with the program so far that you speak with is that they're tougher and they're stronger. So that's definitely going to be something that's needed. Now, while the opponents won't be too much different because size-wise, I mean, it just fluctuated a little bit, but the schedule will be a little different than previously. But I'm really excited to see what goes on with the Benjamin Russell staff, especially with the transition there and the participation as we head into the fall.
256-234-6221. One guy you for him this year is Brian Horn. 4 years for the Wildcats. We'll be moving on to play at Jacksonville State. One last football game in a high school uniform this past Thursday night down at Crampton Bowl in Montgomery as Bryant led the South team to a 20-12 victory. The North team had the football at about the 15 or 20-yard line and had a chance to come down and maybe tie the game up, but the South defense held them out, and Brian started off the game tremendously. He shared time with Zach Morgan from Daphne High School, but Bryant's numbers were great. 6 of 8, 78 yards, a touchdown. Of course, 62 of those 78 yards coming on one play in the very first play from scrimmage for the South. On Zach's first throw, the next possession, he threw a touchdown pass, and it was a 38-yard touchdown pass after a turnover. So very quickly, the South was up 14-0, and the South had a tremendous night as far as kicking. John Baxter had a record-breaking field goal, a record that had stood for about 35 or 40 years. I don't know exactly the date. I'll have to go back and look. But he kicked a 50-yarder in that game, Scott. So he added 2 more field goals, and that's how the South ended up with 20. A lot of great athletes on the field. But, again, it was fun to watch Bryant and watch him play one more time.
Yeah, 6 for 8 for a touchdown there, and you look at those numbers, and it just seems like it's another first quarter for him at Benjamin Russell, very efficient, and I'm sure the Gamecocks are very excited to have him coming on their staff as well. But, again, this game gives opportunities for people who need one more shot, maybe who haven't been highly as touted as other players, and so it just gives you one more chance, and especially as a head coach and seeing Dan.
Going back to Fairhope's John Baxter hit that 50-yard field goal. It broke the the record from Mike Nichols at Sardis High School back in 1967 at 48 yards. So a 50-yard field goal for John Baxter. According to some of the recruiting services, he was ranked the 24th best kicker in the state of Alabama. Well, if he was the 24th best kicker, I'd like to see the other 23. And because he was a tremendous guy as far as kicking the football off, but kicked the ball from 50 would have been good from 55. The other field goal he hit was a 26-yarder, but it was a tough angle. Never a doubt in that one. So games. And in Alabama, Mississippi, you have a lot more higher profile names, but a lot of times you don't see quite the effort in that game. In this game, there's chippiness, man. About every other play, it was pushing and shoving and players getting after it. A lot of those guys, fighting for a scholarship offer. Some of them already had scholarship offers. Others, knowing that this was their last opportunity to play high school football, didn't want to walk off a loser, and it came right down to the wire again. So you see performances like this. 3 years ago, we saw Kyle Caldwell from right here in Tallapoosa County break Pat Sullivan's record for passing yards and touchdowns. He threw 5 touchdown passes and brought the South back to a win, had to come from behind, and he had to go out and kick an onside kick. And he did that as well and got the ball and then led the team down and scored the game-winning touchdown. So, to see those kids excel and play the way they did, and majority of what Kyle did, Scott, in 2011 was in the second half, because just like in this game, the quarterbacks interchanged possessions. Well, in the second half, South said, forget that. Caldwell is going to play the entire second half and played a tremendous game. So congratulations. That's twice now in 4 years we've had quarterbacks from Tallapoosa County, Bryant Horn and Kyle Caldwell, go down and play extremely well.
Yeah, and again, this area has been so fortunate to be able to send so many athletes to this All-Star Week, whether it be in basketball, baseball, football, whatever the sport, softball. There's always been somebody there from this area who's going on to play in those events. So it gives your fan base another opportunity to cheer for you, or it gets them prepped up for the upcoming season.
It does. And, again, the only sport that that were juniors in classification, and I know I think Seth Hendon was down there for the baseball team for Benjamin Russell, and we'll talk about him a little bit later on. Michael Speak for the soccer team. So we always have players, girls and boys, go and participate in these all-star events and become well known and move on and play in college. So, but we're looking forward to following Bryant, just like we follow Griff Gordon. We see his family here tonight eating, and Griff now with a successful stint at Jacksonville State, and now has moved on and was drafted by the New York Yankees, is playing extremely well for them. Kendall Grayman now in Double-A baseball is making his move, and I don't think it'll be very long before you'll see Kendall up in the big leagues the way he's playing. So once again, just tremendous talent out of this area that continues to excel and move on no matter what sport it is, Scott. So excited about that. Up against the break here on the Lake Martin Sports Roundup Show. When we come back, we'll continue to talk about some of our local athletes that have moved on and are playing extremely well. Set the stage here in a few weeks for high school football. Some of the schedules from around this area. We'll start breaking those teams down and kind of throwing the expectations out there. Scott, kind of like college football. In high school, we throw the expectations out, and again, a lot of faces, new faces on these teams around here, a lot of great talent. So when we come back, we'll talk about that. Stay tuned. Well, the Lake Martin Sports Roundup Show presented by the Bland Insurance Group, Alliance Bank, and Radney Funeral Home right after this.
You're clear. One, take it away.
Welcome back into the Lake Martin Sports Roundup Show, where we're live here on location here at JR Sports Bar and Grill each and every Tuesday from 6 to 7. And this segment of the show is presented to you or brought to you by Langley Funeral Home. And so, again, we want to thank all of our sponsors who provide this show for us, as well as you. And we want to thank JR's here with Miss Ann, and we want to make sure that we just talk and cover that portion of it. But, again, we'll get Brett back up here. We'll discuss a little bit more about some of the things that have been going on locally. Kendall Graveman made his first start at AA last night, going 6 innings, only giving up 1 run. And this has been a consistent thing for Kendall all season, moving up from rookie ball, high A, now at AA. And if things continue the way that they are now, it won't be too long before he reaches the next level.
No, it won't be. And, we knew that what we were able to watch of him in Mississippi State, we knew he was going to have an opportunity at the next level, and that's all you can ask for. Was able to be on a College World Series team in Mississippi State that fell one game short of winning a national championship, fell to UCLA. And, he was a big part of why that team made it to Omaha and why that team was successful in Omaha. Again, Kendall continues to work his way up the ranks in Major League Baseball and the farm leagues, and we're excited about him. We know that Griff Gordon doing the same with the New York Yankees, and after he got drafted, both of these guys come from a long line of good baseball, and it started in the little leagues here, Scott, and we can't say enough about our little league programs and what they are able to do as far as producing good talent. You learn the skills in football and baseball and basketball and softball and golf and all that at a young age, and you work and enhance and build those skills all the way up to the high school level and on into the college level. So the common characteristic in a lot of those guys is their hard work. Kendall was gifted obviously with some great talent along with Griff. The mix of the hard work and spending the long hours and being able to do the things they got to do to be successful and outwork the other people is what has set them apart. And we had a young man on Sports Call just a minute ago, the commitment for Auburn from 2016, and one of the things that we asked him was, what sets him apart, or what is he, what would he rather do, work that hard or have a few weekends off in summer? And he said, look, if I've got to go without sleep, and if I got to do whatever I've got to do to set myself apart from the rest of the prospects out there and keep myself at the top, he said, then that's what I'll do. I'll sacrifice. And that's what it boils down to, Scott. That's what separates the few really, really good ones from the rest of the pack.
Yeah, and both Griff and Kendall have done an outstanding job of preparation and getting them prepared for this level. But I always tell the story about Kendall. A few years ago, 5 or 6 years ago, we all went on a beach trip together, and he was the only way that he could go.
After he left from you.
Well, no, he said the only way that he could go was if somebody threw with him every day. He said he had to get up and throw every day, and so a couple of us every morning. Well, I mean, there was
you
one morning.
Never get up.
Maybe not. I threw in the afternoon.
Well,
it was pretty dedicated, but not in the morning time. But again, those types of things as a 16, 17-year-old high schooler getting up and getting prepared when nobody's watching, those are the type of things that separates you, and that's why he's on the fast track that he is right now.
That's why it separated him from you, right?
Absolutely. That's why I'm here to discuss it.
Exactly. That's why somebody's got to be here to talk about him being successful. But again, but that story in itself shows you, you go off on a trip to have fun, but that you never lose sight of the prize. And that's happened with a lot of athletes. It happens in the business world with a lot of people that open their own business. And we talk to Ann all the time about JR's right here, and JR's is successful here, and they give a lot back to the community. But Ann's here all the time. You eat, sleep, and breathe this business if you want it to be successful, because at the end of the day, nobody cares about it more than you do. It's yours. Now, the people that work here are great, but they don't own it. And that's the thing. When it is yours, only you are going to care as much about it. And if you start to lose that fire, then it kind of trickles down to everybody else. So the work ethic, a lot of times with athletes, it's not about what you do on Friday night on the football field or on the baseball diamond or on the basketball court. The work's been put in a long time before that. It's what you do in your spare time. It's what you do in the extra time. You can choose to go and flop down on a couch and cut the TV on or sleep late, or if you want to set yourself apart, you can be like, again, Tiger Woods. I went to a couple of majors and have seen him play in person at the Masters and at the PGA Championship. And when Tiger, during the tournament now, Scott, when everybody else goes home and leaves, he stays on the putting green. He stays out there chipping. And he, for 2, 3, and 4 hours, and I know it doesn't look like that now, because he's, suffered a lot of different things and ailments and issues in his personal life. But back when he was unstoppable, he was the guy putting in the 3 and 4 extra hours. And, yeah, he's already very gifted talent-wise as far as golf is concerned. But to see Tiger Woods, the best in the world, working 3 and 4 extra hours, that's why he was so much better than everybody else.
Yeah, and that's the thing. When I think a lot of times athletes, your supreme athletes, don't get the necessary credit or due that they deserve. You speak of him, and there's countless other people that you can name your Michael Jordans or your Kobe's who stay after 2 or 3 hours to make sure that they shoot the correct amount of shots or they make enough for that day, or Peyton Manning and Tom Brady making sure that they're on with their receivers. And so just doing anything you can to get a notch up on your opponent, because if you're the top dog, then you know that everybody's coming for you. And if you want to maintain that spot, then you must do what is required of you to continue doing so.
Proud of what our local athletes do at all our schools. Come here and, like you said, Scott, talk about these kids and get that word out, because you'd probably be amazed at how many people in the community that turn this show on. Here, with his future in hand, 2 more years here at Benjamin Russell, and no telling where he'll end up. And I know he'll be successful wherever he chooses, and whatever he chooses to do. So a lot of excitement about that, and other kids on this team, on this Benjamin Russell team, that are going to be really successful. We're pumped about this season. The schedule is going to be a little bit tougher. But there's some really, really good games on slate. You got, Oxford on this schedule now. You got Pell City. Of course, we'll renew our rivalry again this year with Opelika. We've had a couple of great games the last 2 years. We've split those games. This will kind of be a rubber match over the last 3 years. We got Central Clay. That'll be a special game for us to go up on week 2. We got a former Benjamin Russell Wildcat coaching against us this year, and Tella Stone. He'll be bringing BC Rain to the Sportsplex the first week of the season. And then, you go down through the list. We'll still play Valley. We'll still play Eufaula. We'll still play those teams that have always been tough games for us and good opponents. So, see some new faces out there, some teams we haven't played in a while, like a Chelsea, and then some other, some mix of some other teams. But it's going to be a fun week in and week out schedule, and every single night we can win. Every single night the other team can win if we don't show up and play our A game. I mean, you heard Coach Orr say that on this show last week. So. A lot of fun coming up these next few weeks as we head down the stretch and get ready. It's going to be exciting. Scott, I'm going to step aside here on this break. When we come back, Anthony Turley, a new member of our team, will step up here in my place, and I'll head on over to Sports Blitz and get them started. You'll get to see Anthony tonight on statewide television as well. With Luke Robinson, I'm going to do a couple of segments, and then I'll step aside because Anthony's going to be a big part of what we do here this fall on these programs and on Sports Call and a lot of things that we have. We're glad to have him as part of our team. So we're going to take a break here, last break of the show. Come back, Anthony will join you. Stay tuned. More of the Lake Martin Sports Roundup show right after this.
You're out. 2, 1, take it away.
Welcome back, and thanks for joining the last segment of the Sports Splits Lake March Sports Roundup, live here on location at JR Sports Bar and Grill in beautiful downtown Alexander City. 256-234-6221 is the number to dial in, and right now we have Anthony Turling with us, who will be joining, as Brett said, a lot of the programming on the Sports Splits as well as Sports Call side. So, Anthony, I want to say, first off, congratulations on it, and from what I've heard so far today, you've done a great job.
I appreciate it. I'm excited to be here. I want to get more involved in it and get my feet wet. I guess they're going to throw me in the deep end.
Absolutely. Before we go on any further, I have to make a little announcement. Sweet Tea and Dexter Roberts, who was an American Idol finalist, and Big Fish Larry Levine are teaming up with David Hare and Elk City Guide Services, as well as Bay Pine Arena for Striped Bass Adventure on Alabama's beautiful Lake Martin. If you don't know, Levine is the host of the Cooking Wild style television series, and Sweet Tea is a trio of singers that collectively sing with a beautiful blend of country twang. And so Dexter Roberts, who is from Fayetteville, as we said, was a finalist on the 13th season of American Idol, and the band has over 50 years of experience and loves the outdoors. So again, if you need any information on that, you can contact David Hare at the Elk City Guide Service or anyone related with Bay Pines, and they'll take care of it for you. But again, Anthony, we were discussing a little bit off the air about Derek Jeter and where he ranks now on the all-time hits list, and so it looks like he's 10 away from being number 6 all-time, and so you have a list of names there that he'd be joining.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing to think. And then we were talking over break, talking about maybe Derek Jeter pulling the Drew Brees, wanting to play a little longer. If you look at these, he's got 3,420th hit that he hit last night, and the company that he is in is pretty crazy. Paul Molitor, and I'm probably ruining that name, Carl Yastrzemski, Honus Wagner, Derek Jeter, Cap Anson, Tris Speaker, Stan Musial, and then Ty Cobb, and obviously Pete Rose. I mean, seeing those numbers, he's only 10 away from Cap Anson, and it's very reachable. Would you consider playing a little longer?
If you're Jeter, I mean, they've done so much. The thing is, they've just done so much to prep for this year being his last. I know they tried to do it with Mo a couple years ago before he decided to come back, and they had the farewell tour 2 years in a row. But I think with Jeter, it's like, what else really do you have to gain? Now, granted, if you're that close, then maybe you change it. You look at somebody kind of like a Kobe who, if he keeps playing, I think you see him play a little longer because the scoring title or the most points ever scored in the league, I think, is in reach if he continues to play. So you see other guys in different sports. But I thought with baseball, it's such a grind that I don't know if you want to do that. But as you said, he could do the Spurs strategy where, you may not play but a third of the games or just enough to keep you healthy, and they play you in the big-time games where you get the reception that you would most rightly deserve.
You always find a way to get Kobe Bryant and the Lakers in there. Just like, I'm going to try to slide in some pirate talk, but I'll save that for another show. But no, I think that Derek Jeter and Mo have done it the right way to go out. I respect that so much. I mean, it is amazing to see, and I'll be front and center. I'm not a huge Yankee fan. I don't know many people around here that are, but I'll be there front and center on the TV the day that they have that ceremony going away for him. But, it's just, have you seen the commercial?
It's awesome.
That
is the greatest thing ever. If you don't watch that and get chills, like it was extremely touching.
I have no clue where to tell you to go to find it. I'm sure we could find that up real quick. But, one thing, if you have not seen that commercial, basically what it is, and I was talking about it on Sports Call the last segment, but it is pretty much the utmost respect to any player you could give. When you're talking the Jordan brand and you're giving the number 2 the respect within that, I mean, the commercial starts out with the Boston Red Sox and the Yankees. Everybody knows about that rivalry. And you got John Lester on the hill. You can't get any more respect than that. If you have not seen that commercial, Google Derek Jeter respect commercial, and you'll be very happy that you did.
And the thing about Jeter, for somebody with our age, 25, 26, you grew up on Jeter. So from baseball purposes, this is one of the first players we've seen whose whole career we've got to witness. And so to see them retire, Chipper was one of those guys kind of too. But from this, I guess from a national perspective, nobody is as revered as the captain is. And so it's going to be weird not seeing him out there. But Again, they've done so much transition. You lose Torrey, then you lose Mo and Pettit, and so I mean they've been prepping for this, and it had to happen at some point. But I'm excited to see what happens there because they need some new blood, and it'll be interesting to see how things turn out there. But again, real quickly, a little bit of that on Sports Blitz in a few minutes, but just anything in particular you wanted to hit before we head out tonight.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the big addition in Nate Craig. Let's not forget Richard McBride. He's a big pickup. I thought it was very interesting. I don't know if Brett hit on this in the segment before, but Richard McBride grew up a big Alabama fan. And it's kind of the same with Rock Thomas. Rock Thomas did the same, but he's now in an Auburn uniform. Can Richard McBride overcome that? And I